Welcome to Moving Conversations, a podcast for movement professionals by movement professionals. If you coach, train, or teach movement, Pilates, or fitness, then this podcast is for you. With more than 60 years of experience in fitness and Pilates, your hosts, BrianRichey and Nora St. John, explore the science of human movement, diving deep into the facts, myths, and common misconceptions, hoping to spark thought and conversation about how we view fitness and movement. Now, let's jump into Moving Conversations. And welcome back to Moving Conversations. I'm BrianRichey. Joining me as always is Nora St. John, and you look a little different today. For those of you watching on YouTube, you're going to see she looks a little smaller than normal. Where are you?
So I'm in Victoria, British Columbia. I'm teaching an advanced module up here at Loren Studio. The weather's gorgeous. It's spring. The cherry blossoms are in bloom. So we're a little bit behind DC, which has been lovely. And so that's when I'm on my phone, everybody. So if I sound funny, if I look funny, hopefully everything will be fine. I won't cut out or anything, but just so you know, that's what's going on.
It is funny. We've done a few on the road before, and 50-50, half of them work out really well. I remember I was in a very dark room in Chicago. I couldn't get they were trying to save energy on lighting and things, and it was super dark video. And I just was like, but you can hear me, right? That's all that matters. You can hear me. And I remember I looked like this deep black shadow, I looked like I was coming from the depths of, some alleyway. And I just thought, well, it is what it is. But we've got Wi-Fi. We've got a good signal. So I figure let's record. We've got an interesting topic today, one that I think is forefront on a lot of people's minds. And I'll tell the story on why this came up in my mind. But before we do that, do us a favor, hit that like and subscribe button. We really appreciate it. Comment, like, repost, all of those things on Instagram through Moving Convos. We really appreciate it. Or if you see it on Nora's post or hers or mine, do us a favor, hit the like, hit the subscribe. We super duper appreciate every single one of you. If you need to reach out to us, you can do that through email, movingconvos@gmail.com. Best way to get in touch with us. And with no further ado, today, we're going to talk about the big, the elephant in the room for a lot of, us is fear.
I'm going to be a little funny here, and I'm going to call it the working with rehab F-bomb.
Okay. I like that. Yeah, it is that you're not wrong.
No, because it really fear in all of its many forms is one of the things that if you're working with virtually anybody with an issue and a lot of clients without issues, honestly, fear is one of the things that, I feel like I'm managing in many sessions, and especially with fear. Yeah. I mean, with injuries, like that is just something that you're managing, and how you do that and how successful you are at that really can often make a biggest difference between somebody getting better, learning to trust you and making progress and not.
Fear is one of the biggest things that will hold someone back.
Yep.
We've all been there. I've suffered from major back problems. I hate pain just like everybody else does. Let's face it. Very few people, there might be a few out there. Let's say that. But hardly anybody really wants to be in pain.
Right.
And when you have it, it's so, how do I put this? It takes over your entire day. It takes over your entire mind. You can't think of anything else but the discomfort you're in. It's always that's a great way. I would say it's on the forefront of your mind constantly.
Yeah.
And I think you and I have learned how in our profession, I've had to do it for the last, how many years and last few months and whatnot, when you have something going on that, you just have to put it on the back burner and just move on, because nothing's going to fix it in this moment on the spot. And I've got something I got to get done.
Right.
But for a lot of clients who haven't dealt with pain, they don't know that it's going to get better.
Yeah. Yeah.
They don't know that things are going to heal.
Yep.
And I've got a great example. One of my clients, I saw him just after he had a laparoscopic surgery for his low back. And he, after that, he recovered incredibly well, plays golf, does all these things. Well, he was starting to get a little bit of pain here and there, but it would go away. A little bit of pain here and there, it would go away. We touched on this last time too, same guy. He would start having more pain when he was sleeping at night, and his world collapsed. His back was hurting him at night. He couldn't find a comfortable position. It was his back. It didn't bother him playing golf, walking, driving, nothing else, but only sleeping. But for him, his world, I swear to you, collapsed all around him. This is what it was going to be the rest of his life. He's never going to get a good night's sleep again. And he hit this pain, depression spiral.
Yep.
That he went down, and I kept reminding him, look, you recovered before. This was before we realized that there was a tumor there. I said, it will heal. Let's talk to your physician. Let's talk to your physical therapist. Let's get in a few more sessions with her. Let's see what we can do. We're doing everything we can to stabilize and get everything firing, and he'll be great for 3 days, and then he'll have 2 nights of agony. And it wasn't until they discovered that there was a tumor that needed to be removed. And after that, now he's Superman. And that pain, now that it's gone, he's flipped the switch, and now he can do no wrong. Now he's doing things, and it's the exact opposite. It's like he's taking these risks, and I'm like, okay, calm yourself.
Right. Maybe reconsider that one.
Yeah.
You know, well, while we're on this, I just want to pop this in here. So one of the signs of cancer is nighttime pain.
Yeah.
Excruciating nighttime pain. So just, any of you guys who are working with clients at any point, really, just be aware that is that is a red flag. So that's like go talk to somebody, and not just your orthopedist, but go talk to somebody and just have them really check things out. So anyway, carry on.
No, that's huge. And that's something you need to keep in mind, because you and I have both had clients for whom everybody assumed it was orthopedic pain in one way, shape, or form. Everybody. And only until they went down the road so far that they finally realized, oops, we missed something.
Exactly.
Let's get you checked out by, okay. Yeah. And in one of my situations, it was too late and they couldn't do anything about it. And she was gone within a month. Whereas if they had found it 3 years prior, who knows? She may have been able to go through that.
Right.
I will also put this caveat: if they've had cancer before.
Yeah, then absolutely just send them back for it, because the likelihood of recurring is you do not mess with that. Do not wait.
You don't.
Do not pass go.
Absolutely. Go. And that's the one thing. In my advice, even before, if they've had, breast cancer, if they've had pelvic cancer, anything female gynecologic cancer, and they start getting back pain, I suggest go to their oncologist first. They always say, shouldn't I see an orthopedist? I say, just make sure. Let's rule everything out.
All right, let's start with that. Then we can go to the orthopedist, but do it that way. Yeah.
Do it that way because of your history, and just say it that way. Just say, it's probably nothing. Let's rule this out. I almost make it sound like I'm blowing them off, but I always just say, we're going to rule this out, because if it is this, we need to get this taken care of as soon as possible. And if it's not, we'll get you in with an orthopedist, and
we'll do
physical therapy. We'll tell that's the easy part. I said, that's the easy stuff. This is a little more complex. Let's get you looked at quick, as soon as possible. Yeah.
Good. So now that we've started you off with fear.
Yes.
Yeah.
What brought this on? I have a client, brand new. I've only seen her 3 or 4 times. It's been a month. I did her assessment. She has some, how should I put this? Not average issues. Okay. GI issues, internal issues, things that aren't just, external.
Orthopedic.
Orthopedic. I'm going to call that more external, because this is definitely more in that realm that you need a GI doctor. You need someone like that. And she's seen multiple physical therapists, and her physical therapist said to come work with me. Only come to Brian. He'll know what I'm talking about. And this person has lost a ton of weight. I mean, a lot of weight. And no. She's one of these women who's always been in perfect shape. So she was thin to begin with. So thin to begin with, you'd think Stepford wife sort of, just perfect. Used to be an athlete, but definitely carries herself that way. But there was something in her voice when she was talking to me that there was a ton of fear even coming out through what she was saying before I ever saw her. Yeah. She came in. I did the initial assessment. Every other word and sentence was referring back to being afraid of movement, afraid of moving. Everything I do hurts. Everything I do. This one, she's working with multiple physical therapists. One had me do bicep curls, and I could only do 1 pound in this hand and 2 pounds in this hand. And we could only do 3 repetitions before it hurt everything. And it was one of those things. And she's probably around 100 pounds, maybe a little less. And she's, I'd say, a little above average in height for female.
Okay.
And I'll be honest, based on what she was saying, based on everything I was hearing, there was something that was telling me run.
Oh.
Because she was living through fear.
Yeah.
And I don't know if you've experienced this, but a lot of people who live through fear like this are also looking for someone to blame.
Yep.
And I was getting that vibe. And she showed me her current exercises, and I was looking at them thinking, oh, you're doing some pretty hard stuff. I mean, things that I'm thinking are beyond just foundational work in my mind, but I said, this is great. No problem. She came in, she was real shaky. The next time she came in, we didn't do anything because she was so shaky. She couldn't hardly do anything. She was flared up and everything was hurting. And so I'm not touching you. Sorry.
Right. Yep.
I want you in good. I don't want to take the blame for anything. We talked through some things. Next session, I put her through, when I say basic, we did marching. We did knee fallouts to the side. We did heel slides. Did we get beyond that? We did bridging because that was actually one of her exercises. And we did adductor squeezes on a ball. So we're talking basic. Okay. Yeah. My 90-year-old great-great-grandmas, this is how we start with them. So I was thinking, we're going to take it easy and just see what the reaction might be. Well, she wrote me, she had to cancel for the following week because she was in so much pain. Now, she didn't blame me 100%, but she did say that she went to her hairdresser and she can't lean her head back to get her hair washed. So she stands over the sink forward flexed while the person is washing your hair and then has to stand up from that position. And I'm thinking, I'm pretty sure that that's what set you off more than what we did. Just my mindset. Thinking that's probably, but could be a combination. I just said, no problem. She said, I really want to go to see my physical therapist before I see you again. Please, please, please call, talk to them. I'm really afraid. And she kept using that word. Talk to her, their physical therapist. And I told her, I said, look, she keeps bringing up fear. She is afraid of moving. She's afraid of movement. She's afraid of everything. Yeah. And both PTs said 100% you're right. Said she is scared to death to move her body because she's afraid of the pain. And that makes it very challenging for someone who does movement to have her do anything. So, yeah, so that's kind of where I am, is sort of, okay, I now have an idea of what to do, but it's going to be a challenge.
And so two things. One, there was a client that I worked with at St. Francis years and years and years ago, who basically came in and had back issues and other kinds of things going on. And just one of those moments where, oh, well, I went to see them and they screwed me up and I sued them. I went to see them and they screwed me up and I sued them. And so this client basically had 5 lawsuits going with every other practitioner she'd worked with. So I'm like, and we're going to lie down and breathe. There was, honestly, it was like that was the red flag for me, was this is somebody who's just after lawsuits, as far as I could tell. So, that's not common at all, but it was just one of those like, whoa, this is not a situation I want to step into, because clearly this is what's on her mind.
Absolutely.
Practitioner, I sue them. Like, this is not good. And then in terms of the other client, your client, it's like, when one of the challenges, and it is the primary challenge with clients like that, is gaining trust. And sometimes you can, and sometimes you can't.
Yes.
And it's like, I feel like in my career, I was quite successful at that. There was a lot of, very anxious clients that I worked with for years and years. And we could get to the point where I could push them a little bit and they could go a little farther than they thought. And we worked it out. There was one client, however, who I worked with for a long time, and I felt like I could never break through the fear.
Yes.
I could never, I mean, I don't know if it wasn't the right person or whatever, but it was actually not possible for her to trust me or to let go enough of the fear to actually move.
Yes.
And that was just like, at some point I had to just accept that, like, this is not working. Like, I'm happy to come and kind of be a psychological support for you, which is kind of what I became. But movement was not something she was able to do, And that honestly, that was very hard for me, because I was like, this was the only time I felt like I really failed at that primary job of creating trust.
Yeah. And sometimes something that people need to realize too, when it comes to trust.
Yeah.
It can take time, and a long time.
Yeah, it can.
For some people, they come in and after one session, they trust you, can feel it. It's like, go for it. Anything you want to do. Let's do it. I trust you.
Right. They're good.
There are others that 6-8 weeks go by and you can still feel the apprehension in everything. Well, I'm not sure. When I'm sitting here, I kind of feel that I don't know if I should be doing it. And there's those questions. And I'm not going to say you do this. I start getting very frustrated at those situations because no matter what I suggest, there's a fight. There's one side of him pulling and another side of him that says, but they want to work harder. And that can be a challenge as well. Just establishing that. And once you do, though, you start making progress.
Yes. And one of so a couple things. One is also understanding for yourself as a practitioner, because we're really talking about this from a practitioner perspective a little bit, and also from a client perspective, is can you make a difference? Can you actually get them to the point where they can start to trust you? Sometimes they can, sometimes they can't. Sometimes you just have to send them to a different person because a different practitioner is going to have a better result than you are. So there's always that. And then there's also that like that slow uncovering of what's really the problem that is often behind things. I remember one client came in, and fortunately she came in at a time when the studio wasn't very busy, which was actually a good thing at that point. And it worked together, and I was trying to have her just breathe because she had all this neck and shoulder problem, and breathing is often a nice way to deal with that. And she could not breathe without like essentially panic breathing the whole that's the only way she knew how to breathe. And I was like, and I said, well, maybe think about breathing a little more down into your belly or whatever. No, like that was not an option. And I'm like, okay, something else is going on here. That's psychological trauma, whatever. Something else is happening here. She's not talking about it. That's fine. Because you can't excuse me, what's really going on? Like, that's not always going to be the best way. Have you ever had a trauma in your life that you should tell me about right now? Somebody you've never met before? Like, that's not really going to work. And so then it was like, I just kind of worked with her as best I could and left the breathing go. And we just did light work for probably about 5 or 6 sessions. And then one time we were alone in the studio, and that's what it took. She needed to actually tell me in private. And she said, oh, just so you know, I had terrible trauma as a child. I was like, okay, that helps me. Thank you for letting me know that. Then let's start to think about the breathing being a way also just to handle the tension and the panic and stuff. So then we could kind of get through it. But it took her a while to be able to trust me and a situation where she could actually bring it up and feel comfortable. And that was just what it was. And I kind of knew something was going on, but I wasn't going to say like, hey, tell me your deepest, darkest secrets. You don't even know me, right?
Yeah. I've definitely had a lot of those, over the years. And one of the ones coming from the male perspective, I can only speak from what I am coming from the male perspective. A lot of times I can tell there's usually some apprehension anyway.
Yeah.
But touch.
Oh, yeah.
We cue sometimes with touch, and I may tap on their scapula with one finger or their shoulder blade or whatever. Very, very professional in every way, shape, or form, especially if there's any apprehension. I'm not just going to put them in position. I might just say, I want you to get this muscle here.
Right.
Anytime I would do that, she would wince away from me.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
As if I was trying to stab her.
Yeah.
And after the first time, I just went, okay, she's hands off 100%.
Exactly. Yeah. I've
And
had
it took a while for her to trust me, probably 6 months, I would say, for her to actually trust me enough to where, and I would then say, your shoulder blades aren't moving the way I think they should. Is it okay if I help guide them into position? And I could see her think, I think that'll be all right. Okay. We never addressed what it was. It's none of my business. That's not what I'm here for.
Right.
But she knew and I knew that there was something else there.
Yeah.
But once I sort of said that and guided her safely, I could feel her relax and said, oh, okay. Because she knew that I was keeping her safe, that I was doing what's right for her. But again, she was somebody who it took a long time. And I've had a number of these clients.
Yeah.
So when I notice that apprehension, I sometimes have to get out of my own ego.
Absolutely.
Get out of my ego and get into their space, not their physical space, but where are they emotionally? Where are they in their pain cycle?
Yep.
Where is that fear coming from? Because when I do that, I can say, okay, it allows me to bite my tongue.
Yep.
And say, okay, let's find something else. Because I can't tell you how many times this is the perfect exercise for this person.
Right.
It's
this is the right thing.
This is the right thing. And they're fighting me. I'm thinking, Annie, it's not for them today.
No, exactly.
Bite your tongue, take it out of your ego and say, oh, you know what? I don't like the way this is looking. Let's go over here. Let's try this instead.
Exactly.
Where they're not going to fight.
Yep. Yep.
If you force it, it's going to get worse.
No, resistance, when you come up across that resistance, and this is actually true for all kinds of clients, right? How do you deal with that resistance? Whether it's fear-based, whether it's whatever it is, like, how do you deal with that resistance? And, honestly, I'm sure you've had this experience, and I'm sure you've seen it in your studio with other instructors sometimes, or even with yourself, when you just kind of push too far, like you insist a little too much, and you just watch them like get right, and you're ending up fighting with your client. This is never a good thing. It occasionally happens, just because it just occasionally happens. But it's that moment of like, okay, let's just let this go and move on. And I love what you say, because I often do the same thing too. It's like, hey, this was really, I don't think this is working for us today. Let's try something else. Yep. Not like you're fighting me, not bring up the tension necessarily. Just say, hey, let's come over here and do something else. Just distract, right? Let's just go over and try something else and see if we can kind of get over this particular bottleneck, right? This particular fear. Because sometimes that is just fear-based. And it's like, I remember I had a client who was terrified of rotation. She had back problems. Absolutely terrified of rotation, which is not uncommon at all in my experience. That's often what feels the most vulnerable, because it moves the spine the most, and they're like, they don't want to move it. And so this one client, this is a little bit sneaky, so sometimes you have to be sneaky. But basically, I put her down on all fours, and I did basically your chicken wings version, or a variation of essentially going into thread the needle, things like that. Right.
Yep.
So it's a rotational exercise, but it's in a all fours position. And I just
feels different.
Take your hand and reach it underneath you, and then kind of reach it behind you. And she ended up doing a good bit of rotation, but didn't realize it.
Sure.
So in her case, I had to find a way to get the movement to happen without them realizing the movement is happening, which sounds kind of sneaky. But every now and then, that's the right approach. Like, okay, well, we're just going to do this, and give them something that actually gets the movement happening without them realizing it.
You put vegetables into the casserole. You got your kids to eat the vegetables a sneaky way.
You got the broccoli in there.
Yeah, it works. And I've done that millions of times. And I think all of us have had to figure a way to do that, because there is some resistance. Yeah. I will say this. The more you fight that resistance, because there have been a few moments where, and I'll be honest, I've had a bad day.
Yeah.
I'm just on my last nerve anyway, and this client is pushing that nerve to its very end.
Yes.
And I consider myself a very laid back kind of person, but I'm being
Yes.
pushed and pushed and pushed. And
You're
I
like,
finally get to that point, and I'll find myself about to snap, and I just have to remind myself, no, I'm here to help them. What can I do to make this a better experience? They do not want to do this.
Right.
I had a client today. We were doing, what were we doing on the reformer? We were doing something, a simple exercise, something that was, so simple. But she did one set on each. I don't think we should do this anymore. I said, did it hurt? No, but I'm afraid it's going to make me wonky. A very technical term, by the way, wonky. Yes. So I just said, okay, turned around and we walked out of the room. I said, I got to change the environment, change everything. There was something about what we were doing, leg stretch. We were doing leg stretch. There's something about that was, and we were doing a small range of motion. There's something about it that was making her uncomfortable. Yeah. That for some reason she was unsure about. Yeah. So I said, we're going to get your glutes some other way. We're going to do something. And I just walked her into the other room and we moved on. And she was fine. Yeah. She didn't complain the rest of the session. But I know that if I said, no, we got to do, and if I had stuck to my guns, she would have fought me. Yes. And could I have flared her up? Yes, she would have been looking for it to possibly flare them up. I think that's something else that they'll do. When you're fighting with them, they're going to have to prove they're right. Exactly. Yes. Even if it means hurting them. Mm-hmm. Hurting themselves. Yep. I've experienced it. I've seen it. Me too. Yep. Yep. And so sometimes it's best just to walk away. Deep breath. And that's why I love that my space is big enough that I can walk to another room so they don't see my face as I'm okay. And you're walking and you got a little grump going on, but as soon as you're there, you're like, let's do this now. You got the smile back on your face. You change your energy completely. And you just say, let's do this. I've got an idea. I think this will work better. Almost so you're making it, this is an improvement over that last thing. Fantastic. Absolutely. And that can make a huge difference for people. The other thing too, so I'm going to take a slightly different tack, I think, for a moment, is trust. How do you build trust? And one of the things that is sometimes a challenge is, and I've certainly had clients like this, and we've talked about some clients like this, where they keep moving the goalpost. Oh yeah. So like, you feel like you're making progress, you feel like they're getting somewhere, and then like, oh, my hip, oh, my shoulder, oh, my neck, oh, my this. And it's kind of like they keep trying to, I think it's unconscious a lot of times, but they keep trying to actually move past or have you forget what you're actually working on. And especially for clients in pain, I find that this is a way for them to feel in control. Right. And to kind of feel like, well, they're still in charge of something. I hadn't thought of that. And that's just like something that I pay attention to. And I'm working with, especially somebody in pain, especially somebody who's got complicated stuff going on. Mm-hmm. Like, okay, so let's just focus on basic things. And the nice thing about both what I do and what I do is let's just find 5 or 6 exercises that we know are safe, that we can give you consistently. Let's just start with something basic, right? And let's just do that and do that long enough for you to get very comfortable with it. And like, okay, I know what I'm doing. I'm comfortable. I'm good. And then maybe we do other things in the beginning, end of the session. We do all the other fancy things or varieties of things. And so a lot of times building trust is really about that consistency, finding things that work and then sticking with them. And that's what I find like with a new instructor is hard because the client goes, oh, but this, oh, but that, oh, but this. And it really can pull the instructor off of their focus. Yeah. Because, oh, well, now I got to chase this. Now I've got to chase that. And it's like, what I would really encourage you, especially newer teachers there, is listen, understand what they're saying, take that in as information, that there's something else to deal with. But if there's a few things you've really identified as the key things, maybe it's posture, maybe it's hip mobility, maybe it's shoulder dynamics, whatever it is, just, stay focused on what you're doing and get to that later. Yep. Right. Because there's clients that really want to just like pull you all over the place. One of my mentors way back when said, no one ever died of acute lack of exercise. And
funny way to put it.
It's a great way to put it. Look,
yeah.
This one exercise is not going to make or break their routine. It's not going to make or break their fitness, health for life. It's not going to make or break anything. Just like if someone comes in and they're not in the right headspace even, or something traumatic happened in their life and they're not in this space. Right. It's okay to say, you know what? It's not for you today.
Yeah.
It's okay.
Yep.
Give yourself permission. So no one's going to die if you say, okay, we're going to do these same 5 exercises. I have Maria, one of my employees, my manager, she has this one client. She said, I don't think we're getting anything accomplished. I don't think we're doing the same thing every single week. We're not. And I said, is she moving? Is she getting a little stronger at least? Yes, but I said, I know what you want, but you also know what her comfort level is. And you also know she's a control freak and she's out of control in most of her life. So guess what? She needs to be in control here in some way, shape, or form. It's hard for her to give you absolute control. And every now and then the person will walk out. She said, that was the most amazing session. She did everything I asked her to do and she did it great. I was like, good, don't get used to it. I said, just because we know the person, it's just, and of course she goes right back to their old ways.
Yeah.
But that's okay. I said, it's all right if you're still doing the same 5, 6, 7 exercises. Maybe sneak in one, maybe try one.
Yep.
Or one every 2 weeks.
Yeah.
And then if they say, oh, I really like that. Oh, okay. Let's try that again next time. And then you can always bring it up. Oh, you said you really liked this one, so we're going to try it again.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I did. I find that's an easy way to sort of give them control that they're seeking, but still be able to move them toward the goal that they say they're seeking.
I had a classic client like that who she's willing to do anything, but she had arthritis like everywhere. I mean, she was just a bundle of every single joint in her body was pretty irritated. She was on, perpetual NSAIDs, and that, barely touched the discomfort she was in most of the time. And in her case, like, we found a workout that worked, right?
Yep.
You can do this and this and this and this and this and this and this. And it was, it was a good, about 45-minute workout without flaring anything up. And in her case, that was really, really valuable. Because, I'm not sure she was making progress. I'm not sure she was going to get a whole lot stronger with this, but she could maintain what she could do. She could maintain. Did a lot of traveling with her husband. They ended up in all kinds of crazy places. She was really short. Like, she could be strong enough to get onto that bus, right? To get up the steps, to get over the big thing. And that was really all she needed. She didn't need to make huge progress. She just needed to not fall backwards, which in her situation was really the most likely thing. Like, if she didn't work out, again, arthritis, move it or lose it, is really true with most arthritis situations. And if she did move, like if she went away for 2 or 3 weeks and didn't do just the very simple home exercises, like, she would fall backwards significantly. So she really realized, like, I just have to move. And we found something that worked. And all my teachers who would take over, like if I was gone or something, they're saying, I just do this. Like, yes, just do this.
Nothing else.
Don't get excited. Just repeat exactly what's on this sheet.
Yep.
And that's just what we had to do. And it worked fine. I mean, honestly, she really was able to maintain and make progress. But it was that was what it took. Just regularity.
And that functional maintenance, I call those functional maintenance programs.
Yeah.
Especially if someone in their mid-80s. Look,
right.
just for them to stay status quo, they're on. Most, not all people in their mid-80s, but most are probably on some sort of decline, whether that's a sharp drop, which we've seen with some clients, or that's a nice gradual decline that goes over 15, 20 years.
Yeah.
You're not making a rapid increase at any point. After the first 6 or 8 weeks, you're not going to get a whole lot stronger.
No.
So that is really important for some people, just to have that functional maintenance. And for some people, this may be the only structured movement that they do all week. And for them, that is vitally important, and they need it. They need it for their health. They need it because if you don't do it with them and do those 10 exercises that are safe and that aren't going to hurt them and that are the same ones every single week, guess what? They won't do anything.
Exactly.
So it's still beneficial.
Yep, absolutely. So thinking about fear too, from a slightly different perspective, one of the challenges with fear, or just from a neuropsychological perspective, fear takes over the brain. Our brains are actually wired to perpetually and eternally scan the universe for threats. That's what our brain does. And that's for most people, that's a much more active part of the brain than the part of the brain that scans the world for fun.
Yes.
Right? So if there is fear, if there is pain, if there is something that isn't working well, then the brain can really get locked onto that. And one other thing that being in fear does is it really decreases the ability to think creatively, to think positively, to have kind of a sense of possibility. And I know it's happened to me many times. You've got a client who comes in who says, and there's one client I use a lot as an example, so forgive me for repeating myself, but she comes in and she says, I have a back problem. I'm like, okay, well, tell me about your back problem. Well, 6 years ago, my back went out. Okay, like I heard, I did, da. All right, well, has it hurt since? No. At all?
Yep.
No. And I'm like, okay, my back hurts more than yours does on a daily basis. And
exactly.
So like, okay. But I couldn't, I knew, especially in this first session, that I couldn't talk this person out of being a back pain client, right? Like that was an identity. And that's one of the challenges I find a lot with pain and with fear is they can't separate from the fear, and the fear or the fear of something becomes their identity.
Yep.
And I know for a lot of clients, it's like just trying to create like a little space between the fear or the pain and who they are is often a really valuable tool. And I think about one other client too, who, again, another example I use often because she just cracked me up. She had a neck and shoulder problem, and she'd been in a car accident. She'd been in a rear ender, so she got whiplash. And when she came in, she would like lie down. We'd do all these little things. Oh, like total princess in the pea. Everything hurt. The second the session was over, she would literally jump up, grab her giant overweight handbag, throw it over her shoulder, and run out the door.
Yep.
And that was one of those classic, what are they saying and what are they doing? And then where are the disconnects in that?
We used to have, we had a client, I swear to you, I don't know why he got hung up on this. He would park at the far end of our parking lot, and our studio overlooked, we had our older studio then, overlooked this big parking lot. And he parked on the far end, and we'd watch him walk in. And it became such a running joke to other clients too. Oh, here he comes. And he's carrying his cane, swinging in his arms, walking briskly all the way in. And we're talking, I don't know, 100 yards, maybe. He's walking a distance. We're watching, and everybody's laughing because when he walks in, suddenly he's hobbling on his cane.
Oh, man. Okay. Well, there's a scenario.
Yeah. And I was like, oh, yeah, okay. And so I said, oh, it's killing me today. Really? Oh, and people are stifling their laughs from across the room.
Wow.
He was addicted to his story.
Yeah, absolutely.
He was addicted to being in pain. And later we did find out he was
attention.
Yeah, he was addicted to the attention. He was addicted to some pain medicines as well. So he knew that if everybody saw him in pain, it legitimized it.
Yep.
And everything. And there was a lot. I learned a lot from watching him because he was also a control person. He would tell you what you're doing for the whole workout and got mad if you did something different.
Yep.
But he never really wanted to get much better. Yep. He would go to this doctor, that doctor, that doctor, that doctor, that doctor to hear the answer he wanted, rather than Well, these 4 pretty much came up with roughly the same thing. But
Yep.
you're going to have surgery from this doctor because he said something that is a little different, which doesn't sound right, not even close, but you're going to trust that? Okie doke. And the guy had surgery, back surgery, major back surgery, from the front and the back. Did not solve the problem, as we all knew it wouldn't. And finally, he went back to the other doctors and had his hip done because that's where it really was happening. And finally, it was like, oh, so that was what it was. I'm thinking, but we have all these other doctors said that. He wanted to believe what he wanted to believe. And he was addicted to that story and that amount of, pain that he was in.
Yeah.
So and whether he had fear of a hip replacement at 45, maybe that fear, it's easier to go in for back surgery. I don't know what it was, but he had this running fear constantly that everything was going to hurt. Even though, like I said, he practically jogged in from the parking lot and then suddenly he's hobbled. So what we see in front of us in the clinic sometimes isn't what we're going to be seeing out on the street.
Out in the world.
I've seen people out in the world, walking at the mall, and that looks like Jeremy over there. That is, isn't he pretty spry today? I don't ever catch him like that. Interesting. And then I'll and far enough away that I'm like, I don't want to bother him. And then I'll see him and he'll come in and I'll say, saw you at, and he's like, oh, really? And you can see he's like he's been caught. And I said, you were moving pretty well that day. I'm glad you were feeling good that day. Let's hope we have more of those and less of the other. I let it go. I wasn't going to call them out on it. But I wanted to know that it's okay.
Yeah.
It's okay not to be afraid.
Yeah.
It's okay. I think people do get addicted to pain and get addicted to fear. And they hold on to it. That it becomes that security blanket because they don't know anything else. It's been there for so long. It's almost like, an evil best friend, or a toxic best friend who's constantly pulling you down and you really need to let go of.
They also, I'm thinking of one other client, they also can get addicted to the attention it brings them.
100%.
Right. So that's kind of what you're talking about with this guy. And he sounds like he has more reasons why he wanted to stay in pain. But I think of one client I had, again, for years, 16 years or something like that, forever. And he saw me, he saw a physical therapist, he saw a chiropractor, he saw a massage therapist. And about every 2 or 3 years, and it was anxiety. He was managing his anxiety. He had really high anxiety, and you could see it in every single session.
Yeah.
And I did my best to kind of create trust and whatever, but it was like, I couldn't touch that. It's like, because that was what was driving everything. He was just anxious. And because of that, he needed to have his anxiety soothed by, in his case, he had a lot of money, by practitioners, like 3 or 4 times. So again, he would go and then he would kind of relax for that hour with me or an hour with the massage therapist or whatever. Then he'd go back to his anxiety. And, and he was a conservative guy from Chicago. So it was not like he was going to go to therapy or take, anti-anxiety meds. Those are not options. And I wasn't even sure. I don't even sure I could bring that up to him. At that point, I probably would have now, but at that point in my career, I wouldn't even know how to do that. And so for him, it was like his anxiety was driving his physical issues, and it was driving his need for connection was driving his physical issues. Because I know for him, his housing situation, his relationship was pretty terrible, and he told me about that. And it was like, this was how he got his connection. This is how he connected with people, was through his physical issues, clearly. And that didn't change. And I'm like, I don't know what to tell. I don't know what to tell you. Like my job at that point, because I worked with him for a long time, was just really responding. Doing what I could about the thing, giving him the information, seeing what I could do with it, and creating a safe space. It was not productive, particularly. It did not change the underlying issue, which was his anxiety. And that
I had someone exactly the same. I know exactly what you mean. You can only do so much. My guy, frail, as can be, tennis and golfer's elbow in both arms, and everything in life hurt, and nothing ever got better. But he would see, okay, my dad is in his 80s. This guy saw the doctor way more than my dad, who's being treated for a bunch of different things. So that tells you how often. My dad's always complaining. I'm at the doctor's office a couple times every week. This guy was going 2, 3, 4 times a week to different specialists.
Oh, yeah.
And he wasn't rich whatsoever, but it was all covered. He had great medical insurance because he got hurt on the job. So he got amazing medical insurance.
Yeah.
And he utilized it. And he was very addicted to the attention. He had very few friends. He was in a bad relationship. Everything in his life stunk. So for him, this is how he was able to get someone to pay attention to him.
Exactly.
And I kind of wanted to say, look, if you do what we want, I'm still going to pay attention to you. Right. I'm not kicking you out the door. None of us are. We can still
We're happy to keep working with you forever, basically, because there's always something we could do.
Right. But why don't we make progress instead of going backwards?
Yeah.
And I think sometimes that fear of moving forward or getting past the pain is just as big as the fear of experiencing the pain for some of these people.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
And I think a lot of what we're talking about today comes down to us as practitioners having patience.
Having patience, and then yes, but sometimes it's also like understanding, because like now,
understanding.
Yeah, and I think at this point now, just to be clear, like when I started practicing 30 years ago, and you too, there actually weren't really good medications for things like depression and anxiety.
Not at all.
There actually weren't. And mental health was a very hidden, shameful thing. Like people didn't talk about their mental health.
Still is for some. You're right.
Absolutely. I mean, and culturally, especially certain age groups and that kind of thing, I think younger people are a lot more like, I'm bipolar and I take my stuff and life is great. Whatever. It's a very different mentality for sure. But I think now I would say, hey, I would really recommend that you go see this person, right? Somebody who can kind of work with them on a different level, because that psychological piece, we do everything we can in terms of creating a safe space and, communicating effectively and all the things we do. But that's where our practice ends, right? When you're really dealing with somebody with psychological issues, there's only so much you can do, right? That's not our bailiwick. I'm not gonna that's not my thing. And being able to, and again, I think of one client who I did refer because they were clearly wacky. They were on another planet in some ways. And it took about 6 months for them to actually go.
Yeah.
But I just about every 3 or 4 sessions, I'd say, hey, have you checked out that referral yet? And they're like, oh, no. But they finally went, and it made a huge difference.
Yeah.
Like that's absolutely what they needed. They needed a psychologist or a psychiatrist. They needed medication. Like they needed other stuff than anything I was going to do for them. And I actually felt good about being able to make that change for them by giving them a referral, because a lot of times, that's the deal. I had one other client, and this was grim. It's a little bit grim. She was in a really bad railroad accident. Car, cars were falling over. I think 2 trains hit each other. It was really bad. And she was injured in that process. And being the legal system that we had, it was going to take years to resolve this because a whole bunch of people were injured. It was Amtrak, blah, blah, blah. And what I saw for her was she couldn't let go of the pain until the lawsuit was settled. She had to keep justifying being part of this lawsuit. And then I also asked, I happened to know her psychotherapist was also like a client of mine. And what I realized was like, this client would tell me things and wouldn't tell her therapist these things.
Oh, geez.
So her therapist had this very particular view of this client that I'm like, your client is absolutely not telling you anything they need to tell you to get any results. It was kind of.
Are we talking about the same person?
Yeah, because the therapist saw her as this kind of successful, interior designer who had her life, together and just needed a few little support systems. And I'm like going to this person's house, and it's a complete disaster. Yeah. It's just dysfunction everywhere, right? And I'm like, this is not the person. And it was just funny. That was one of those moments. Oof.
No.
You know, what do you do? If somebody's not going to do it,
that's just it.
That's nothing you can do.
Well, something that comes back in my mind when I said on, having patience, I was getting at, we can only do so much in our job.
Yeah, absolutely.
And we cannot control what they're thinking, how they're feeling when they walk through that door. Hopefully when they walk out, they feel better. They might have a spring in their step, but they're in a better mood when they leave than when they come. Exercise and movement can do that. And that's our goal.
Right.
But a lot of times we're also the bartender.
Yeah.
We're the person who's listening to the complaints.
Yep.
I've got husbands and wives, and I've got to basically be like, I really don't want to hear this because I got to deal with both sides of y'all, and I really don't need this right now.
Like, don't put me in the middle of this.
But that's where I am, and I kind of have to say, I can't talk about this. Can't talk about this. But we're that ear. We're one more person, because let's face it, their spouse has heard it all already, or their significant, whoever is in their life has heard it all. So we're one more person that they can talk to about this.
Yes.
And especially when it comes to pain, when it comes to fear of movement, someone who's been hurt moving before, because we've all had those people who, I did a deadlift 25 years ago and it wrecked my back, and I cannot do a deadlift ever again. I'm like, but you're a completely different person than you were 25 years ago. And we built you to this point now, and you pick things up off the floor all the time. So technically you're doing a deadlift. It's just the dog food and not, a weight.
Yes.
So sometimes for us, it really does you have to have that patience and understanding, and also knowing when to push, when not to push, when to say things, when not to say it. And a lot of it is just gauging that the temperature of the client at the moment, which can be a real artistry when it comes to what we do.
I mean, that's experience. That's emotional intelligence. That's time. And it's also, one other thing that I have to say, and I say this a lot to instructors, is fundamentally, all you can do is what you're doing in that hour with them.
Yes.
You can be the best, you can show up the best way you possibly can for that client in that hour. Once they're out of your space, you are no longer responsible.
Yes.
And I know, particularly for me, when I was a young instructor, man, I was pretty sure I could fix anybody, and it was my responsibility to do that. And I talk about it as like I had a backpack of clients that were with me all the time.
All the time.
Like, trust me, I was thinking about them a whole lot more than they were thinking about me. Like a whole lot more. It really took me a long time to go, that's not helping them, and it's not helping me.
Yeah.
And one of the images that I use, and I kind of love this one, is, okay, the Wicked Witch of the West and Wizard of Oz. Yeah. All right. The little Toto, the basket with Toto on the back. Okay, this is a little random, but when I really have those difficult clients that just throw a bunch of stuff at you, and just it's hard, like they're difficult clients, I would always picture myself putting all that negativity, all that challenge, whatever it was, in a basket, like Toto was, and giving it to them as they walk out the door. That was the image I would use. So they would take it with them instead of leaving.
I love that.
It was a really useful,
that image.
Whatever image works for you, but that was a really useful image, just to go, this is not mine. I'm not living with this 24/7. They are, and let them live with it 24/7.
100%. I love that image, because it's very true. We want to help. We want to fix. But at the same time, we got to know our scope. We also got to know that that's way beyond what we can do. We're not super people.
No. And you can't help everybody.
You can't.
And some people in some ways don't really want to be helped. And there's certainly, we've mentioned a few in this podcast already. It's like their agenda was not to get better.
Yes.
Their agenda was something else. And
100%.
And your agenda is to make them better. But when your agenda and their agenda don't match, different things happen.
Yes, their expectations as well.
Yeah.
I've many times had to tell people, I think our expectations of what I can do are different.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I want to set up very clear expectations. Here's what I can do.
Yeah. Great.
So what I can't do, there's other people out there for that. And I won't say, you need to go to a shrink. My gosh, that's the next person you should be seeing right now. That's not what I say, but I can say, I'm sure there are other people who can help you with other facets. I can help you with this part of it, but the other parts I really can't. So I give them their expectations. There's an unbelievable comedian. I highly recommend her, Hannah Gadsby. Great program called Douglas. It's on Netflix. If you haven't seen it, it's spectacular. And she lays out her entire show in the first 5 minutes and says, I'm going to meet your expectations because I'm giving them to you first. So I'm going to tell you what to expect, then I'm going to give it to you, and you're going to say, what an amazing job she did.
I love it.
And the first time I heard that, I said, that is brilliant. Tell them what the expectations are. Set them up for it.
Yes.
And I worked my way through life a lot of times like that. If I feel like they're telling me something that I cannot meet those expectations, I'm going to tell them that now. Sorry.
Yeah.
Here's what you can expect to get out of these sessions.
Right.
Here's the expectations that I can meet.
Yep.
And when I can meet them, then y'all think I'm great. But if you have expectations that far exceed what I can do, you're only going to be disappointed.
Yeah, I love that. I love that. That's exactly right. That's exactly right. I mean, as I say, like, we're movement people. That's all we are. Like,
exactly.
That's all we are. That's really all we are. We're exercise people. Okay. We work with movement. That's what we do. And that is one aspect of the body. It's one aspect of the human, right? And that's what we work with. And, obviously psychology comes into that, as we've spent this hour talking about it. Other things come into that, but that's the skill we have. And that is the skill for better. I mean, that's it. That's the box.
Yep. Exactly.
Boxes that they work with.
Yep. Exactly. Well, we covered this subject pretty well.
Yeah. So, well, you guys, that was a deep dive into challenges and, clients that don't match the, I want to get better and I'll do everything you say model. Because honestly, that doesn't happen all that often anyway, but right. And anyway, hopefully this has been helpful in terms of give you some perspective on maybe challenging clients you're having, or having more compassion for those that really just are in a fear-based state for whatever reason. I don't know. Yeah.
But also it lets you know that you're not alone in this.
You're not alone.
It happens to all of us.
Absolutely.
It happens to me all the time.
Yep.
So we just told you some of our theories. And if you have some things that have worked for you, let us know, please. We'd love to be able to share them with everybody. Whatever it is, please, you can go on Instagram and put it in the comments. We'd love that. Or send it to us on email and we will let people know, because we're only 2 people here. But all of you make up a huge community. And if you know something and if something's working for you, let's share it, because then we all get better.
And this is any of you who work with clients. I'm not even going to say pain clients. This is part of it. This is always going to be part of it. What's their agenda? Where do they match? Where do they not match? Do they pay attention? Like all this is just normal. This is just a daily thing.
Yep. Exactly.
Right? So if you've got any good advice, if you've got things that worked for you, like, let us know, because it'll help all of us, it'll help the whole community just to have more tools in their pocket for working with these complicated situations.
Absolutely. Well, thank you guys for listening. We really appreciate it. We love every single one of you. Love the fact that you listen in. So thank you very much. Like and subscribe. We really appreciate it. You can check us out, Moving Combos on Gmail or movingcombos@gmail.com. It's the best way to get in touch with us. Wait a minute. I think I reversed that. Moving Convos on Instagram is the best way to check out what we're doing. Email is movingcombos@gmail.com. That sounds better. And for Nora St. John, I'm BrianRichey. We will see y'all next week.
Bye, guys.